guys, welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button, and if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the politics and BS. So listen, this does not strike me as a surprise. I knew it was going to be coming because when Amber Rose started making the post about MAGA and being in Mar-a-Lago and you know, flipping on what she previously said about Donald Trump to now being a backer, I knew it was going to be coming out that she was going to be on some sort of platform speaking on behalf of his platform, whatever the crap is. Okay, so it's been announced that she's going to be a speaker at the Republican National Convention. And this just goes to show how these people are such hypocrites. I mean, really. And I speak from a place of not being any party. I am not a Republican. I am not a Democrat. I'm not even an independent. And some may say, oh, well, you know, if you're not a Republican or a Democrat, then you have to be an independent. I don't claim any party. I don't. And sometimes the independents that they call themselves, they're not as independent as they proclaim to be. But anyway, she has made the announcement to her followers that it's true. I'm speaking at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee. Earlier in that day, Trump's campaign and the Republican National Committee released details of the convention's program, noting that it will feature Republican leaders, supporters, industry figures, and pop culture icons with a focus on celebrating everyday Americans. She's such a hypocrite, but again, it's for the check. Somebody needs to apologize to Chrisette Michele because all she did was sing at the inauguration. And didn't sing by herself, by the way. She sang with a gospel singer that goes by the name of Travis something. I can't remember his last name. He didn't get canceled, but she, being an African-American woman, she gets canceled for singing at a gig. And then I think, you know, she did make a statement basically saying, you know, I'll be willing to be the bridge or something like that. But I really think she was just trying to make an eloquent statement to calm down the backlash that people were bringing the heat to her for singing at the Republican National Committee. But actually, it wasn't that. It was the inauguration. The dude was already elected. So she was just doing a job. It was a gig for her. She didn't say, I endorse him. I voted for him. But anyway, Chrisette Michele has talent. Amber Rose has none. So we know why she's doing this. Attention, which she loves, but definitely 100% for the money. She's posing in the MAGA hats, wearing a MAGA chain. It's just hypocrisy on so many levels. But speaking of Amber Rose, which one day I guess she's black and another day she's biracial, Dr. Umar, even though we know that there's a lot of controversy when it comes to him, and sometimes I'm like, what are you talking about? But we can't take the fact away from him that he really is an intelligent person. He may not always be right about everything. I don't agree with everything that he says, but he definitely is an intelligent person. And he was talking about people who are in the African American community who actually support and claim that they love Donald Trump. Not just saying, hey, he's better for my bottom line based on where I am financially. He's better for my economy than Joe Biden is. That's a personal thing for some people, and some people feel like Biden is worse for their economy than Donald Trump is. Because Donald Trump is basically out there saying, yeah, if you donate $1 million to my campaign, I'll make sure that I get these things deregulated. Like, he's out here just basically having people buy his votes. But I digress. The people who claim that they love this man are low-key worshiping him, even though they may not admit it, but I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before, except for maybe when I would watch these documentaries on Hitler. And it's scary. It really is. To see what's going on right now, because I used to watch these documentaries about Hitler and how he came to power, and just seeing how these people were just so in awe of this man, and he was scary in the things that he was doing. And these people who felt like, well, it is not going to happen to me, so hail Hitler. Oh my God, it's so scary to see that there are people in this day and time that are in some ways doing similar to Trump, who I believe would love to have that type of power. So I'm going to play this clip of Dr. Umar Johnson talking about this.
You know, blacks loving Donald Trump so much.
Slave master syndrome, white Jesus syndrome. Mm-hmm. We don't care if the white Jesus wears red or blue. We don't care what side of the aisle that they're on. You know, black America suffers from battered spouse syndrome envy. And what battered spouse syndrome speaks to is the fact that no matter how bad you beat me up, if I believe I need you in order to survive, I'm never going anywhere. And part of our problem, part of the equation to our problem as American Africans, why we don't do anything on our own, is we are often waiting for the great white savior to come. This is a message that has been rehearsed for us in church. We get it in the media. We get it in the black community. So black people will never, ever abandon their hope of a white savior coming to save them. Donald Trump has no record whatsoever of saving black folks. When people ask me, who you going to vote for? At this point, neither one of them are going to get my vote. I consider Cornel West because I love Dr. West. Intelligent, strong, good-natured, but he's a bunny hopper, so he can't get my vote. Now, when I come back to Donald Trump and Joe Biden, I look at the fact that Donald Trump signed 13 federal death executions while he was president. More than half of them was signed after Joe Biden won the election. Think about that now. Biden gets elected in November, sworn in January. Between that time, Donald Trump executes half of those 13 people. 5 of them were black men, and 2 of those black men were presumed innocent. And the attorneys had introduced a stay of execution to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court turned them down, and Donald Trump executed those brothers. So when I hear black men say, I'm voting for Donald Trump because he's going to bring more money and economic vitality into the black community, I say, what about the fact that he's out here killing black folks, you understand, without no remorse at all? So you got to look at that. You also got to look at the fact that Donald Trump wants to give police 100% immunity.
That's right.
Wait a minute. Look how they're killing us now. Right. So now you're telling me anything the police do in their line of duty, they cannot be held accountable for making bad mistakes and bad decisions, and you want to put that back in office? That's thirsty black men worry more about money than the lives of their people.
All of that, and then some. It needs to be said, and it needs to be said more. But I'll talk about that separately, but I am absolutely thrilled. Like, I got chills when I heard him saying that, because it needs to be said more often. It needs to be broken down like that. Some people are just so stupid and ignorant talking about stimulus checks. Stimulus checks? Like, are you serious right now? A $600 check, a $1,200 check? How is that going to get you through 4 years or possibly more? Because don't you know that not voting for Joe Biden, which I'm not a fan of him either, is a vote for Trump. But 2, not voting for Biden and essentially giving your vote to Trump is a vote that would possibly keep this man in office until he dies. Now, yeah, it's possible he could die tomorrow because he is 78 years old. And it's so stupid when I hear people say, Joe Biden's too old. Joe Biden is 81. Donald Trump is not 45. He was the 45th president, but he's not 45 years old. It is absolutely insane to me, but I'm so glad Dr. Umar said it, because it's crazy to me when I hear African American, especially the men, the males, talking about being in support of Donald Trump when he just did these things recently. But people go back to Joe Biden's past and not looking at what he's done today, yesterday, or even in these past 4 years. But I digress. Speaking of support, because when I just talked about Amber Rose and how she's going to be speaking at the RNC, the Republican National Convention, and they've listed that they're going to have these different influencers and social stars or whatever being a part, Donald Trump has asked the disgraced Fire Festival creator, this disastrous event that was just tragic, right? Donald Trump has asked this man, Billy McFarland, for help with recruiting rappers for his presidential campaign. Like, seriously, like, I have no issue with celebrities that want to just voice their opinions or giving suggestions, but do you see the difference when it comes to African Americans? They want people like Amber Rose and rappers like Waka Flocka or, you know, people like that to be the representatives to speak to the African Americans, because they just basically feel like y'all N-words, all y'all do is listen to rappers and entertainers, so we'll just get a few of them to come on board, we'll give them a few dollars, and then they'll influence as many of, like Trump says, my blacks to vote for me. So Billy McFarland was convicted because he oh my God. He was convicted because he was doing wire fraud, and he was sentenced to 6 years in prison for defrauding investors and ticket buyers of the Fire Festival. He promoted it as a luxurious event in the Bahamas. The festival turned into a fiasco due to inadequate food, shelter, and entertainment, leaving attendees stranded and furious. So, in response to the news, the director of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, he responded to say, "There's nothing more on brand for a convicted felon like Donald Trump than recruiting another convicted felon to join his campaign just in time for the Republican National Convention, which is shaping up to be just as much of a dumpster fire as Fyre Fest. Billy McFarland is joining a long list of fraudsters working for Trump's campaign to rip off the American people." Listen, it's just a freaking crap show. All of this stuff is, but again, I said it before I heard other people saying it. Joe Biden, he could be weekend at Bernie's, and I would still vote for him over Donald Trump, because it's not saying that I'm voting for Joe Biden because he's the best that we could ever have, or that I'm just so enthusiastic about him, or he's just the best thing since sliced bread when it comes to people who could be the president. But voting for Joe Biden, for me, is voting against this person that is truly all about himself and his own family, and even more so for himself than even his own family, because he could give a crap about his own wife. Let's just be honest. He could give a crap about his own wife and his kids, but people feel like this man is the greatest and he can make America great again. I ain't buying it, and I hope other people are listening and paying attention, but I just wanted to share my thoughts on it. So let me know what you think in the comment section. Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.